Manos al Agua is a partnership, it's a project that works for the sustainability of the coffee sector in Colombia. And we promote the use of clean technologies and the adoption of good agricultural practices, but always linked with a very strong social component. We focus very much on the reduction of the pollution that comes from the coffee processing in the water, but also from the household activities. And aside that, we also have other kinds of activities like reforestation, crop renovation, water saving, and also knowledge creation. And for the social component, our main focus is empowerment of the coffee families, the communities. And for that, we actually rely very much on our extension service. These are the field officers that go to the farms very often and do a very close follow-up with the families on all the project activities. The PPP is bringing together partners of very different natures, so from the private sector, the public sector, and knowledge institutions like us.
There are elements of collective action. One of them is the collaboration of a lot of great capabilities. We had in the FNC very capable project management, very capable implementation of field programs. We had in Wageningen University, in Café and in Nestlé, a very solid capability from a scientific perspective of dealing with water aspects. And with Nescafé and Nespresso, we had very great capabilities in terms of alignment of purpose and intention of working in a very serious and very wholesome or holistic way in relation to water topics in agriculture.
There is a strong relationship between water and coffee production. At the end of the harvesting process, water is used in the post-harvesting process in order to obtain the final product. So for a long time, we have been worried about the water use in coffee production.
Manos al Agua works with a landscape approach, and this is the actual key success factor of the project. So we look at the territory as a whole, and we use water as a connecting element, both by integrating the natural resources management and the involvement of stakeholders and other actors important in the regions.
To include all the actors in the social community, in the 25 micro basins we worked, was for us a very important new state of our minds in order to look for more impacts in the community. The project allowed to involve the community, not only the farmers, their wives, their children, the people linked in the rural schools, all these people in the micro basins we worked at the end were linked in the project.
In this sense, it's worth to emphasize the creation of the Manos al Agua groups. These are community groups, regional groups, coffee farmers and their families that gather together and carry out activities for the protection of and conservation of the watershed at the watershed level.
La mujer por muchos años estuvo relegada de la casa, ¿cierto? Entonces, básicamente en cada una de las implementaciones o cuando hicimos la línea base o cuando empezamos el programa, vimos la participación más nutrida, pero de hombres. Las mujeres casi no las veíamos. Y para nosotros fue muy interesante porque el equipo de trabajo, el equipo técnico, estaba conformado por el 50% de mujeres, las cuales servían, como te dijera, como motivación para demostrar a las mujeres de campo que sí se puede, que sí es posible. Entonces, a través de ese tipo de trabajo y con la capacitación y concientización, y luego nosotros tuvimos un encuentro nacional y precisamente las mujeres que uno identificaba en zona que dijeron no soy capaz de hablar en público, ya las vimos empoderadas, apropiadas y fuera de eso, coordinando dentro de sus municipios, liderando procesos.
During the project, we linked the research findings about reducing use of water in coffee production with the real world in the micro basins and The technology that the Federation has generated for a long time demonstrated to work in the field, in the micro basins, how saving water and reducing the pollution of the water in the coffee process. Senicafe has to monitor the water in the basins in order to take samples, to test in the laboratory, and to be sure that the impact we were having was good or not. And all the variables we could measure were very good.
When you ensure that water is properly treated, and when you introduce more trees, well, guess what? Actually, the biodiversity starts to increase as well. And that then has a kick-on benefit, because if you have better biodiversity, you have birds that are eating the pests that would otherwise affect the coffee. So you end up with a very virtuous cycle of improvement and higher productivity of high-quality coffees.
Manos al Agua was great as a project. It has achieved most of its results. A big reduction in water use by the coffee farmers, a big reduction in water pollution, increases in awareness of the whole coffee farming community in those regions on how to improve production processes and how to produce more sustainable.
In Colombia, we want more educated people working in coffee. We have been thinking about the new generation of coffee growers. These young persons, people who is in the schools and the secondary school, they came to the project and they were involved in different community actions, field days, rural meetings.
Los niños se vuelven como veedores dentro de las fincas. El niño, todo lo que el papá o la mamá está haciendo mal, ellos dicen, papá, está mal hecho, papá, hay que hacer esto. Papá, eso no fue lo que nos enseñaron en la capacitación. Entonces se vuelve muy, muy indispensable el tema que sea algo integral. Capacitamos niños, capacitamos a las mamás y capacitamos a los papás.
One of the things that we found that was very striking actually is the impact of community engagement. Engaging at a community level means that you move beyond thinking about the quality of water and you start thinking about the quantity of water, because you can start using agroforestry and trees as a way of shaping landscapes and watersheds to increase the volume of water and to preserve the use of the water in the soils locally.
For FNC, it is a starting point in order to replicate the project in future in another micro basins in Colombia.
We put public funding into this project. We do that to establish a proof of concept, and then we hope, well, now others can take this concept forward and scale it up. Can you develop, based on what we've learned in this project, a more commercial way of financing the improvements in the production process? Then we have really achieved what we wanted to achieve.
Para nosotros fue muy grato lo que se logró. Nosotros logramos transformar comunidades. Nosotros logramos transformar territorio. Nosotros lo definimos en una frase muy sencilla: lo logramos.